Hey, it's Mike Hambright with Flipner.com. Welcome back for another exciting VIP interview where I interview successful real estate investing experts and entrepreneurs in our industry to help you learn and grow. Today, I'm joined by Jeff Shadrick. He is the owner of REI Associates, a real estate investing company that provides individuals and institutions high-quality investment properties in the state of Alabama. Jeff also runs a construction company and a brokerage, and over time, he's decided to kind of vertically integrate his businesses by adding on different businesses that supplement each other, and also using those businesses as additional revenue streams for other opportunities that are out there to kind of maximize his opportunity. So it's an age-old adage, the decision that small businesses really have to make all the time to stay narrowly focused or to diversify your business and maybe your risk. And for a lot of entrepreneurs that I know, they may change their decision on how they're going to do that with the wind as the wind changes direction. So it's difficult for entrepreneurs to say no to some opportunity. But Jeff has done just that, and we're going to talk about it today, some of the pros and cons of kind of vertically integrating your business and spreading some of your risks. Before we get started, though, let's take a moment to recognize our featured sponsors. RealtyMogul.com is an online marketplace for real estate investing, connecting borrowers and capital from accredited and institutional investors. Get a rehab loan fast and close in as little as 10 days. Rates start as low as 9%. We'd also like to thank National Real Estate Insurance Group, the nation's leading provider of insurance to the residential real estate investor market. From individual properties to large-scale investors, National Real Estate Insurance Group is ready to serve you. Please note, the views and opinions expressed by the individuals in this program do not necessarily reflect those of FlipNerd.com or any of its partners, advertisers, or affiliates. Please consult professionals before making any investment or tax decisions, as real estate investing can be risky. Hey, Jeff, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Good to see you.
See you as always.
Yeah, again. I saw you a couple of weeks ago. We're, for those that are listening, we happen to be in a mastermind group together, so I know I've seen over time some of the stuff that Jeff talks about with some of the challenges of whether to diversify and add on new opportunities or stay focused. And that's a challenge I think probably all small businesses face. You get presented with opportunity, and sometimes it's hard to say no, right?
It is. As an entrepreneur, you're always that dangling carrot is always something that you're always chasing.
Yeah.
And, it's really hard to stay focused a lot of times into what's your core business and what you really excel at.
Yeah.
So you really have to kind of look at it from the standpoint of what makes sense for you personally and what you feel like personally you can take on as a business and be successful at.
Yeah. And I think, especially for real estate investors, there seem to be a lot of, on its face, logical things to bolt on, whether it's property management or lending, or there's a lot of things that seem to kind of make sense, but again, it kind of depends on its face. Everything is a little bit easier than when you kind of get into the weeds, and some of those things are a little bit harder to execute, right?
They are. You have to be very clear on what it is you will do and what your boundaries are and what you won't do.
Yeah.
There are certain things, like you said, we run a full turnkey model for our properties, and in the investing world, that really kind of encompasses just about every piece of it. So anything from a wholesale all the way up to a regular retail, owner occupant fix and flip project, but you're taking that all the way from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
Each step to the process. So you're right where you're thinking that it's just kind of a lot of times it's really easy to say, oh well, if I just had lending in there, then I can add that piece in, or if I had if I owned my own construction company, I could bring that into the house, and property management. There's just so many add-ins, like you talked about, that sound great when you first start to analyze it, but you have to be real careful as you're going through the process to make sure that it really makes sense for your model, and it's not really distracting you from maximizing your efforts in whatever it is that you do the best.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, hey, before we get too far into this, why don't you tell us your background and kind of tell us a little bit about who you are?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got kind of a unique background as far as how I got into real estate investing. I grew up in a construction family, so my father owned a construction company, so I learned how to dig ditches and haul wood from an early age. And so I learned that side of the business growing up. But I didn't go to school. I graduated from college with a finance degree, so I spent about 18 years in the financial world doing financial advising and trust administration. And so I got a very diversified background, which really helped me out when I decided to go full-time in real estate investing. I knew the financial background that helped me with from the private lending side and understanding what investors were looking for and needed. When I presented projects to them for funding, and then as well as the construction side. So now when I show up on a job site and I'm trying to get a contractor to do certain things, I can speak the language with them and I understand what they're telling me
right.
To do and what needs to be done. And so I can really kind of weed through if they're telling me something that's not necessary. I know that.
Yeah.
So it was a good blend of kind of a background that both have been beneficial since I started. I've been investing for about 22 years now. Started out with doing just rental income property, personal property, and then transitioned over to the turnkey model, where we basically take a house from the beginning, by whether it's a foreclosure or whatever means that it comes into our lead source, to take it all the way through acquisition, renovation, renting, property management, and then the sales platform.
Okay. Now, do you guys, and I know you own some of your own rentals, and I know you do some turnkey stuff for other people. Do you manage those as well?
We only right now, this goes back to like what we talked about, knowing what you want to do and what you don't want to do, and the investment piece of it. I've owned a property management company before. I made the decision not to continue on with property management and then to hire that source out.
Yeah.
To somebody who does it on a grander scale. And of course, it's just not something that I felt like was beneficial for our business model.
Yeah.
So we manage everything that we own as a company that is our own personal portfolio in-house.
Okay.
But anything that is sold as a turnkey property to one of our clients, we have a big part of our company that manages.
Okay. Yeah, those are the brokerage are so, and then you have the brokerage side as well, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, that's a more logical bolt-on for investors as an agent or a broker. Hard money is usually pretty common. Even property management is pretty common, although that's the last thing I would ever personally bring on.
I don't recommend anybody taking on property management.
Yeah. And why don't you talk about, on the construction side, how you kind of made that decision versus just, using independent contractors and hiring, others. Because I would say that, clearly most real estate investors don't have their own construction company.
Right. Well, a lot of it had to do with me is that I love construction, and I love that side of the business. And so, in addition to having a group that could do the renovations for my investment properties, I also wanted the ability to be able to do, owner-occupant projects where you need to remodel your personal house, or you come to us and you actually want to build, a new build construction. So, I really wanted to have that as a focal point for my model, as well as the diversification piece, to be able to look at whatever real estate cycle we were in, then I could always capitalize on one aspect.
Yeah. And I guess if you're, especially with the turnkey model, some of it is just a matter of scale, right? Like if you're rehabbing a house, if you're rehabbing a dozen houses a year, you couldn't have your own construction company, or you couldn't have anybody kind of on staff per se. So it gets to a point to where you're doing enough volume to where you can justify it and maybe start to see some expenses that you can cut. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. So once you reach a certain point, and usually it's somewhere around, you're right, 12 a year, you can't do that.
Right.
So it's not economically feasible for you to do it. You can obviously sub that out and get a lot better return for your time and effort. Usually when you get somewhere around 5 to 7 a month on an average, then it starts to become area where you might want to consider, hey, I need to, I'm doing enough volume on a monthly basis that I can, I can warrant paying somebody and bringing full-time subs on.
Yeah.
The way we do that in our business is if we have kind of a light month where we feel like we don't get as many projects on the investment property side, we always have regular retail projects that I can take crews and move them over to help finish up those jobs.
Okay.
We have that whole separate division of the construction company, which is solely focused on handling individual remodeling and construction projects.
Okay. And on that side, other than kind of the turnkey stuff that you do in conjunction with selling, investment properties and rehabbing your own houses that you're going to resell, the construction company is out looking for traditional homeowner type remodeling projects. Is that right?
Absolutely, yeah. We have individuals that will contact us through a referral process or certain leads that we generate for. So we do actively market for non-investment property renovation projects.
Okay. So talk a little bit about with the different businesses like that, and in particular the contracting one, how you keep that separate. I mean, they're separately branded. I assume there's no kind of blurred lines between from the retail customer standpoint. I mean, they know nothing and don't need to know. You don't want them to know about the investment side of your business, I presume. Is that safe to say?
I really don't care if they know.
Not to. I'm just saying from a branding standpoint, not to confuse things as to, are you trying to buy my house, or are you trying to fix it up, or in that regard?
Yeah, I can see where that could be. We still operate under the same name, REI Associates.
Okay.
Company name. So whether we're going out on a residential remodel project or an investment property remodel, we're still branded the same way.
Okay.
We haven't to this point seen that that's been a detriment. Obviously, on our business cards and our marketing materials, it says residential and commercial construction and real estate investment services. So it really just means that we do a multitude of things for them.
Yeah.
And the homeowners really, when it comes down to it, when they're interviewing us as to determine whether or not they take us on a project, it really becomes a factor of, it's usually a referral from somebody. So it's somebody that we've done work for in the past.
Right.
So you really don't have to answer that question anyway. And then the other piece of it is too, is just if you know what you're doing, you know how to bid those types of projects. And of course, we have all the licensing and all that that's necessary to prove what we're doing.
Right.
Then that usually kind of goes a long way. So, we don't necessarily brand it like REI Associates Construction Division and REI Associates Investment Division. We just really all operate under REI Associates.
Okay. So let's maybe talk a little bit about kind of the pros and cons, because I know that I'm sure with making those decisions of whether you wanted to start a construction company, have a brokerage, which I know you're looking to grow and add more offices and things like that. Just kind of talk about your decision-making process and maybe sprinkle in some stuff like, I'm sure some of it is about, the opportunity to make money. I'm sure probably equally as much of that is about control, like having more control over how that impacts the other parts of your business. And then just kind of how you evaluate it from like a opportunity cost standpoint, because there's a lot of things you could do with your time or those resources, I assume.
Absolutely. We only have certain hours in the day.
Yeah.
And, I think your role as the entrepreneur or the owner of the business is your time is best spent on how to develop and how to grow the business, and not so much into the technical day-to-day functions of the business.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, you have to be on top of that. You have to know your finances and what's going on in the process. And I think that clearly comes around with just systemization and knowing that you got the right system in place to monitor all those pieces. One of the biggest deciding factors for me in whether we would go full blown into having a clear construction, a clear investment, and a clear brokerage group was could I manage all of that? Could I keep track from a level that I needed to on a daily basis or a weekly basis so that things didn't fall through the cracks?
Yeah.
Or wasting resources on our money on projects working. So really what it boiled down to me was, how did I put the system in place to manage all of that to where it didn't require me to be hands-on with it on a day-to-day basis as the owner. And so that's what we spent a lot of time on, is developing out systems. I will tell you, we have everything's running 100% like clockwork right now, because I think systems are an ever-evolving process. We're always going to continue to tweak and make things work better. Whether it's an advancement in technology that allows you to streamline things a little bit more, you're just always going to keep changing that. So to me, I looked at it from the standpoint of, one, could I manage it, and then two, did it really add value to the business? And when I added all of those up, and I looked at the different segments, whether it was brokerage, construction, or the investments company, it just made more sense to me. It made more sense of, how do I control the process to where I take as many variables that are out of my hands and put them back into my hands, to where I can, one, capitalize on every income stream that I possibly could get out of. How do I get the most opportunities and the most leads to fund either side of what division it is, and then maximize my marketing dollars to generate more business.
Right.
So by creating a funnel where everything comes in really through the investment company, through the real estate company, there are options that I would have that I wouldn't have had if I was just solely an investment company. So I can, if a lead comes in through our lead generation system, I can take that lead in and we can decide, okay, this doesn't necessarily fit for the investment company. We can't get our numbers where we need to be on that side, but we could transition that over, and we know people that will buy in the brokerage workflow. So maybe we don't look at it from an investment company just to fix and flip. We look at it from maybe we just flip it back over and make our regular brokerage commission off the sale.
Yeah.
For a wholesale fee.
Yeah.
It was important for me to. I didn't want to have multiple sales divisions. I didn't want to have an investment property sales division and a retail sales division. I wanted all of that to be consolidated. And so it made sense to me just to house all the sales functions, for whether it be an investment property or just a regular traditional resale property, to have all of that housed within the brokerage department. That way I could keep it centrally located. There was clear definition between the groups and then what their responsibilities were. And I think it gives us a benefit to the local market, because most brokerages don't deal with traditional real estate investors. But we've had success with the fact that local agents really like the model, and they're excited when they come on, because it gives them an additional income stream that they wouldn't have had.
Okay. You're saying agents that work for you, you're saying?
Yeah, correct. The agents that come in and are just have traditionally been just a regular, particular agent, they start to see the opportunities that they have. So where it's not feast or famine, they know that we have on-site buyers. Not only can they sell a property to one of our local buyers or our foreign, they can turn around, and the investment company in-house could be a potential buyer for one of their projects.
Right.
So it just gives them so many more opportunities to move properties.
Yep. And talk about, I struggle with the same thing. Your biggest cost as an entrepreneur is your opportunity cost, or the cost lost of you. In your example, if you didn't do your construction company, you could focus more on your investment company, presumably, and drive more leads and drive more business through there. That probably was an opportunity, or is an opportunity for you. I mean, talk about kind of how you evaluate whether you should bolt more things on in light of, other things that you could do in your already existing businesses.
Yeah, I think you have to come down and make a decision of, it's really more of an individual decision, I think, of what you feel like your capability and what best suits your strengths. I've always been, I've always been able to juggle multiple things. And that's, some people can handle, one thing and they do really good at it. I tend to chase the shiny. I like the shiny object syndrome, analysis. I do that, but I do it within somewhat of a controlled fashion, to where I only do it if it makes sense, where I know that there's a revenue stream and I can put the right systems in place.
Yeah.
That will monitor on a regular basis.
Yeah.
I don't tend to go after things because you and I both know every day something comes across your desk that is, oh, well, maybe this is a new strategy. Maybe we should do owner financing, or maybe we should do lending, or maybe we should do this business. There's a multitude of opportunities to try to generate cash flow to real estate.
Right.
And so at the end of the day, you got to look at it and go, okay, does this really fit with what I'm doing? And does it meet my why and my goal?
Mm-hmm.
Get me that by adding this new process in, does it help me or prohibit me from reaching my ultimate goal?
Right. Right.
And so I think that's really kind of what you got to ask yourself is you start from the ultimate goal and you work yourself backwards and then say this does or doesn't fit.
Yeah. And it sounds like from talking here, you're pretty hands-on with each of your businesses. Are you, do you, like let's just say your construction business again, or your brokerage, are you running those day to day yourself, or do you have somebody that's running those?
Yeah. So on the brokerage side, I have a partner who serves as our broker for the brokerage side. He handles all of that day to day activity on the brokerage side.
Okay.
I don't get too involved in the day to day on the brokerage side. My efforts are focused on a day-to-day basis with the investment company and the construction company.
Yeah.
Of course, I have project managers that are job-specific, handling either residential or investment property rehabs.
Okay.
So those are tasked with the day-to-day, going out and making sure jobs are getting done on time and like they're supposed to, according to the scope of work. And then they just report back to me on a regular basis. We also have some systems that we have in place that allow us to track that. So I can go into our system and say, okay, well, I want to know what's going on with the XYZ project, 123 Main Street, and I can pull that up. My project manager has put in notes. They've got the scope of work. They've got all of that stuff in that management system. So, at any given point in time, I can kind of keep a bird's eye view of what's going on within the.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe share some of your insights in how technology has probably enabled you to do a lot of what you're able to do now. It's changed dramatically just in the last few years alone of effectively being able to be somewhere without physically being there, right?
Yeah, no doubt. My ultimate goal obviously is to get to where I can sit on the beach and run my business.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's what a lot of us go into this business for. It's just not necessarily where you want to be on the beach, but you want the freedom to be able to run and oversee your business and not be tied to an office on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
And that's really kind of where I strive, is to how do I get myself into a mobile office. And you're right, systems have really allowed me to, I'm not 100% where I want to be yet, but I'm very close to dialing systems to having them operate to where I can basically be anywhere and either have a cell phone or a tablet or a PC, and I can be pretty in tune with what's going on with my business and make decisions that need to be made on the fly. So I think you're right. Systems and the advancements that we've had recently in some of the programs and the technology have really, for our line of business, just been phenomenal in helping us get to that point where we can start doing, the virtual type.
Right.
Or managing multiple divisions from a higher level without having to have every day in and day out, contact with.
Right. Yeah, and sometimes just to require, if you have employees or other people that are doing tasks for you, the requirement that they have to put it in a system, even if you as the owner are not necessarily looking at it every single day, just the requirement that they have to kind of make those entries makes the whole, it just holds everybody more accountable because they know that, they've effectively have to report out.
It does. Now that's probably the hardest part
Yeah.
of putting the system in is getting your people to use it.
Yeah.
And, a system is only as good as what gets put into it.
Right.
I think that's sometimes the hardest piece. And you have to go through a learning curve there because most people don't traditionally log everything they do with a project. They're in charge of their own projects and they kind of know, they keep a record of what's been done today, but they don't have necessarily a system every day. At the end of the day, I got to go in, I got to plug it out, take what I got in my head and put it in the so somebody else can.
Right.
And so you really have to kind of go through a learning curve with your people. Look, this will help you in the long run. I understand that this is for the benefit of everybody, and it also keeps me from having to pick up the phone and bug you every 10 minutes.
Right.
About, what's going on with this project, or why are we behind, and all that.
Right. Right.
It keeps you from having to micromanage your business.
Yeah.
I hate micromanaging. I refuse to do it, and I think that helps keep me out of that micromanagement mindset. I'm feeling like if I'm not on the phone with somebody, or I'm not getting daily messages, then that's it's a problem.
Right. Right. Well, Jeff, we've got a little bit, just a little bit more time here, a few more minutes. Maybe you could take a few minutes and talk about kind of a little bit of a lesson for anybody that has a business now that, has a need to have some tasks done, and they're kind of thinking about, maybe bringing that more in-house, whether it's property management or brokerage or lending or whatever it might be, versus just partnering and working with others and finding a way to outsource that. Maybe just kind of give a little bit of an outline of how people should think about those things and how they should consider the opportunity and the potential, for distraction from presumably their primary business.
Yeah, I think one of my best tips that I could give would be that if you're evaluating whether or not to bring an additional process or line of business into your company, I think the beginning question is, number one, do I have the systems or can I implement the systems that I need to run that business without it devoting more time than I need to give up to go to another line of business. I think you've got to look at it from a standpoint of, one, is it something that I know will have value and obviously dollars to the bottom line, and not just be another expense on the balance sheet or on the income statement, and do I have the people and the resources to manage it? Because the worst thing you can do, at least in my mind, is you get on a business end and then it distracts you as the owner from being the owner, and then you put yourself back into that technician role, and so then you basically defeated yourself right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Because if you're having to devote all of your time to a new line of business as the owner, then obviously something's going to falter in your other lines.
Yeah.
And so to me, it really revolves around, do I have the systemization or the capability to input the system in that will service that line of business and keep it streamlined to where I don't have to be in it all the time. And then it's just a matter of, do I have the right people in place to handle the day-to-day functions?
Right. Right.
Weigh those two, and I think probably the third piece of that would be, like you mentioned, on whether do I partner or do I bring it in house. You're not great at everything.
Right.
You have to kind of come to that realization that you can't be great at everything. And so, while some people can be great at some things and some people are better at other things,
Yep.
you have to look from the standpoint of, does it really make more sense? Like property management. Is there somebody that really enjoys doing property management, and are they much better at it than I would be, and do they will spend the time that is necessary? Because property management takes a lot of time.
Right.
And so, I think that when you're looking at those types of lines of businesses, is there somebody out there that is better at it than you are, and would it just be cheaper for you to go get somebody to do it?
Right.
If it clearly comes down at the end of the decision that, look, if I brought this in, it would just be an additional income stream, and I've already got the systems built out to really kind of integrate it in, then obviously that's your decision.
Right.
It makes it a lot easier. But yeah, I think us as entrepreneurs tend to trick ourselves a lot of time into thinking that we're good at everything.
Yeah.
And
or you can get good.
Or you can get, I can just learn it.
Yeah.
I'll just learn it, and then I don't need to pay anybody else to do that. I'm the worst about that with technology.
Yeah.
Like whenever it comes down to web generation or building out websites and stuff. I'm like, oh no, I can do that.
All you have to do is just Google it. Just Google it, and you'll figure out how to do it.
Yeah, I can do that, and then I'll get into about 30 hours of my time into it, and I'm stuck. And I'm like, all right, then maybe I should have just hired.
Right. Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's one of our lessons that we need to learn as entrepreneurs. Is, there are some people that do things better than you, and it's a more effective use of your time and money to allow those people to do that.
Right. Awesome, Jeff. Well, thanks for sharing your experiences and letting us learn more about you today. If folks want to reach out to you, they want to learn more about what you're doing, where do they go?
You can go to reiassociates.com. You can call us directly, or you can email at jeff@reiassociates.com.
Okay, awesome. Jeff, hey, thanks for your time today. Good to see you, my friend.
Thanks, Mike. Great to see you, too.
All right, take care. Are you a member of flipnerd.com, the most robust real estate investing platform in existence, where you can find off-market wholesale deals and great vendors literally in your market? You can get access to advice from experts and learn about local clubs and events right in your backyard. If not, please visit flipnerd.com and register for a free account. You can register in less than a minute. It's pretty much the coolest site that's ever existed in the real estate investing industry. So get on over to flipnerd.com.